These are the most notable tanks of war thunder introduced between 1919 and 1932. In 1917, France had already begun developing an entirely new kind of tank. But although the First World War was still well underway, the tank wouldn't be finalized until after the end of the war. The Char 2C was originally conceptualized as a heavy tank, but entered service in 1921, redesignated as a super heavy tank. It was the largest tank ever built, weighing 69 tons and requiring a crew of 12 to operate. On the other side of the Channel, Great Britain also developed their own very new kind of tank. The Vickers A1E1 Independent was a multi-turreted tank and served as the influence for many of the multi-turret designs that came after it. It was armed with a central gun turret with a 3-pounder gun, which was surrounded by 4 subsidiary turrets, each with a Vickers machine gun. The tank remained in the experimental phase, with only a single prototype having been built in 1925. During the Second World War, it was stationed at Bovington Camp as a static pillbox, but ultimately never saw combat. In 1925, the Imperial Japanese Army initiated their first domestic tank project. The first prototype, experimental tank number 1, was too heavy and underpowered, but the second prototype, experimental tank number 2, went into production as the Type 89 E-Go in 1931 and became the main battle tank of the Japanese Army. It saw combat for the first time in 1932 during the First Battle of Shanghai and stayed in service until 1942. The French Renault FT-17 introduced a new tank layout with a fully rotating turret, a crew compartment at the front, and the engine compartment at the back. It paved the way for almost all of the tanks following it, inspiring tank designs such as the British Vickers 6-ton. Designed in 1928, it was supposed to serve as a light tank for the British Army, but was never adopted into service. Instead, it was exported to several other armed forces, such as the Finnish Army. The Soviet Union also purchased 15 units, which they then developed into the T-26. 12,000 T-26 tanks were produced between 1931 and 1941, and it saw combat in a wide variety of theatres. It was put into service in 1932, but first saw combat in the Spanish Civil War in 1936, and would stay part of the Soviet armoured force even into the Second World War.